What's on the agenda? Well, we're going to look at an introduction. I want to speak about the national risk assessment and the sectoral risk assessments and practice-wide risk assessments, which is what we have to get in place before we move on to the client and matter risk assessments. And then we're going to look at things like, can I use a template? We'll look at the guidance that we've got from the regulators. What questions do we really need to ask? And I think that's the important one. Are we asking the right questions? We'll look at natural persons and entity clients and the differences in the questions that we will be asking there. We'll have a look at ongoing risk and then any additional information that we might want to add to those risk assessments. There are other risk assessments that we would look at as well, and Regulation 18.2 says that all practices must read and review information that's made available to them by the supervisory authorities and by others, and look at the risks that are out there. Read the reports, read the guidance. There's an awful lot to look at. You know, your regulators will put out guidance as well as putting out the sectoral risk assessments. Make sure you've read that guidance, you've read their annual AML reports. I just see that they're starting to come out for this year as well. The Gambling Commission have just released their annual report. So have a look at those reports and guidance. And does your practice undertake areas of work highlighted in those reports that are of higher risk? We're always looking at those high risk areas. And then I've put interim risk assessment, and you could have several interim risk assessments going on. So you would be keeping it ongoing. You'd be going back and having a look. Has there been any material changes to the knowledge of the client since you did the initial risk assessment? Have any issues come to light? Have you got the full due diligence that you wanted? You know, are they dithering about giving you the information, for example? If you have been collecting financial evidence, does it make sense? We'll talk about that a little bit more on the matter risk assessment. And has the client been cooperative? Is there anything that's flagging you up that something might not quite be right? And then a final risk assessment. And I always think, especially if you're transactional, for some of you that are on this session today, revisit everything again. Has anything changed when we get to that transaction time?